Today I'm going to teach you about a strategy that you actually won't have to pay taxes. And the best part about this is it's completely legal. So let's play the intro and we'll go ahead and jump right into talking about 1031 exchanges. Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Matt, and as I mentioned there in the intro, today we're going to be talking about 1031 exchanges. Now, I'm sure you've heard me say this many times in the past, but I'm not an accountant, I don't have a tax background, so take all of this with a grain of salt. If it comes time to a strategy that you are going to utilize, certainly make sure that you're working with a trustworthy CPA or somebody who specializes in tax advantages for real estate. So what is a 1031 exchange? Well, it's simply a way for you to delay paying capital gains tax when you sell an investment property. I believe in one of my videos previously I might have said that it was for residential properties or primary residences, and I apologize, but that is not correct. This is a strategy that investors use to, again, help delay those tax payments. Now, there's no limit on how many times you can do a 1031 exchange. Bear in mind, though, that if you decide to stop using this strategy down the road, you will owe all of that money in taxes. If you keep using this strategy basically until you pass away, you actually don't have to worry about that burden passing down to your family. The government will basically relieve you of all tax burden from it if it's a strategy that you consistently use over the years, which is a great thing because I know a lot of times when people take advantages of this, they might not realize that tax burdens could be passed along to their loved ones and can hurt what they're inheriting, if anything, or put them in a financial burden themselves. So it's a really good thing that you are able to do this. As long as you keep using it, you or your family are not going to have to worry about paying taxes on that property. Now, that's a whole bunch of jargon, kind of confusing lingo, so let me try to use this here as a pretty simple example, and hopefully that'll help paint a better picture for you. So if you buy a property that costs, we'll call it $100,000, and you hold on to that property for 5 years. In that 5-year time frame, your property value is now actually worth $300,000. So it grew $200,000 during that 5-year time frame. Unrealistic, but just for the sake of the example. So you now have that $200,000 gain. If you were to sell that property and not do anything else with it, then you would pay taxes on that. So let's say this is a duplex that you bought $100,000. Well, now when you're trying to sell it, it's $300,000, and for $300,000, you actually came across a fourplex that, in a better area, is also showing promising growth in the area, maybe experiencing gentrification. And so what you do is you sell your property, your duplex you originally bought, to buy that fourplex. And there's many ways about this. You can either handle this all at closing, which is like an immediate or something along those lines. I forget the exact term they call it. But basically immediately you close the sale on your house and then you close the purchase on your next property. Hope that makes sense. Hope I didn't do a bad job explaining that. I know I was using house in there, but maybe that'll give you a good example. Now, that does seem pretty unrealistic to be able to get both those closings to happen at the same time. It's possible, but it's not going to be easy. And another way that you can go about this is there's what they call the delayed exchange. Basically, what the delayed exchange would allow for you to do is it gives you 45 days after the close of that sale of your property to identify your new purchase. Then you'll have 180 days, again, from the time you sell the property, not from when you identify the property, to close the sale on that new purchase. So really you'll have about a 6-month time frame, right? Yeah, about a 6-month time frame for you to be able to find your new property, purchase that, and close it so you don't have to worry about paying those capital gains tax. And again, bear in mind, so this is really when they say like-kind, or it should only apply for like-kind investments. They're not very specific on that. So if you wanted to go from a 24-unit apartment complex to a 100-unit mobile home park, you can do that. It doesn't have to be another 24-unit apartment complex. Same example might be if you wanted to go from, let's say, like you have a fourplex property and you're going to sell that to buy a single family vacation rental on the ocean. You can do that as well, as long as it's something for your investment purposes, not for your primary residence. And bear in mind too, this is something that if you do decide to take advantage of, again, speak to an accountant because they'll let you know if this is actually something you should be taking advantage of or if it's maybe better for you to pay the taxes. I think if you're going to continue using this strategy, there's definitely a reason for it. You might come across a situation where in the off chance that the property value decreased, then you can write off a capital loss, but depending on how many times you've done this down the road, it might be kind of hard to offset all those gains that you had, considering property generally is on a steady incline, doesn't usually depreciate short of recessions or housing market issues or something along those lines. Now let's say though your house went up from $100,000, we'll call it went up to the $300,000 again, and you find an investment property that you love, but the property itself only costs $250,000. Let's say you're buying a triplex in a pretty beat up neighborhood, but again, experiencing some gentrification the next few years. Maybe you just found some news that a light rail is going to be going through that area, so you think that this is a promising investment. Well, since that new property that you're considering is less than what you're selling your existing property for, you would basically have to pay the capital gains tax on the difference. So in this example, that would be a $50,000 in capital gains that you'd have to pay. While that's still unfortunate that you'd have to pay these taxes, it is a lot better than having to pay the $200,000 in taxes. So if this is a strategy you're considering, just bear in mind that it doesn't necessarily have to be equal or greater in value. It can be less in value, but you won't have the full tax advantage if it is less in value. Again, if a good deal comes along your way and it just makes sense at the end of the day for you to maybe pay a little bit in those capital gains taxes so you can get a really good deal for the property that you want, then certainly take advantage of it. But again, speak to an accountant first, please, so that way they'll be able to make sure that this is something that's actually going to be advantageous for you. I'm sure that there are situations where maybe not everybody would benefit from situations like this, so bear that in mind. Well, quick video today, but I hope that was helpful explaining 1031 exchanges. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you, Michael Lay, for requesting for me to do this video. I hope that you found this beneficial, and if there's anything that you feel that I missed from this explanation, again, please let me know and I'll happily make a follow-up video to this. But thank you for taking the time to watch this. You could be anywhere in the world and you're right here with me, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I think I just said that, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be super cool of you, and if you want to like the video, it'll really help me out a lot. I know my channel's growing slow and steady, but I'm just so appreciative of every one of you that have taken the time to watch my video, subscribe, like, and leave comments. It means a lot to me, and I really am very appreciative of the feedback because it lets me know if I'm on the right track or if there's areas I'm missing or if my videos are lacking detail or I rant a lot. So thank you, everyone. But with all that said, I will let you go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Whoa, lightning.